Oh, cool.
So we can't talk Belichick because we don't know if he's going to be
Right.
fired or not.
We don't know. Yeah, and if we say it and he is or not, we look. Yeah.
Okay, edit. He can also edit that too.
Yeah, but we wouldn't even. We still
We
wouldn't
talk about the
know.
what ifs.
Yeah, but
There's a
even,
rule
so
with
let's say he's
that.
fired tomorrow.
There's a rule
Then
with that.
Friday when they see this, they'd be like, "What do you mean? What is? He got fired
No,
already?"
I know, but that's, I mean, you just edit that out.
You know, we could like if he's not fired, just maybe what we do is we do the show, and then
Okay.
like 50 minutes, or no, we'll do an hour,
Yeah.
and then we can do like a 10-minute segment or
Yeah.
5-minute segment on it,
We
and then
want- I mean,
yeah,
it-
we'll just see how it
see how it
goes.
goes.
But then if that way, if we did edit it, he just okay. All right, so just start whenever, Dill. All right, you ready? My shit straight here. All right. Welcome to Suit Up Sports. I'm DJ the Suit Stout along with 10-year NFL vet Frank Garcia. Frank, how you doing, buddy?
Doing good. It's another good day, another good Friday, and looking forward to a great weekend of some college football and some games tonight. We got the high school football game, and
Who do you guys have this weekend?
we have Sun Valley
Really?
homecoming. So
Sun Valley's homecoming or your
our
homecoming?
homecoming at Catholic. So
Is Sun Valley good this year?
Sun Valley is pretty good. They start off the preseason polls, a top 10 team, and
Wow.
they've had a couple losses. But yeah, as far as the game this weekend, they throw the ball everywhere. They got some. They have a really good offense. It'll be a good challenge for us.
Yeah, well, hopefully you guys get it done. I know you coming off, I think you said a bye week and then a tough loss before that.
Yeah,
so,
we just had a bye. We're coming off a bye week, and we had a tough win against Porter Ridge the week before in overtime. So it'll be a good game. It'll be a good test. Hopefully, we get some points in there and make some things happen on offense and get another victory.
well, speaking of good games, Panthers coming off at least a good half, maybe a good half and a half. Definitely not a first good quarter and half the second quarter. And the Cowboys come to town this weekend. So there's going to be a lot of Cowboy fans at the stadium, I'm sure. And Panthers are going to try to see if they can be consistent and put a full game together. I know you and I both can't stand the Cowboys. So as a Panther fan, I hope this is the game they break out and put it all together. Coker is back practicing. They still haven't announced if he's going to play yet. Chuba Hubbard, it looks like, is probably going to sit out again this week. So still, it'll be the Dowdle show coming off player of the week in the NFL, coming off 206 yards and playing his former team. Wanted to start by asking you, you played for the Panthers, you played for the St. Louis Cardinals,
Rams,
and
yep.
Rams, excuse me, and then the Arizona Cardinals. When you played against an old team, did that give you more juice to show them what they were missing?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember games, when I went from the Panthers to the Rams. That very next year we played the Panthers at home. I was a team captain for the Rams. Come back here and we whooped them up pretty good. That was our Super Bowl year, 2001. And we came back here and had a great game. I think we scored 40 something points. Had a blocked field goal at the very end of the game. For a touchdown for us, but it was one of those good things, and there's nothing better. You don't feel bad for the guys. You want to go shake hands with them,
Right?
But to walk past the coach that
Was it the same coach
it was
there?
George Seifert.
Oh,
George
God.
Seifert. So it was easy for me to walk by him, not shake his hand, and make sure that he saw me because I played the entire game and had a good game, and we ended up like I said, we ended up beating him, scoring 40 something points, but it was almost kind of like, thank you for letting me go, I think is what I said to him. It's the best thing that ever happened for me.
And you went on to win a Super Bowl,
Yeah,
right?
we
Or
went
made
on-
the Super
we
Bowl.
ended up playing the Super
made
Bowl
the
that
Super
year.
Bowl, yeah.
Unfortunately, Tom Brady happened, and you can thank the Rams, the 2001's greatest show on turf Rams for that.
Well, the Panthers aren't a big fan of Tom Brady in the Super Bowl either. He got them
He's
once
got
as
us
well.
both.
Yeah, he got both of you. So let's start off in this Panther game. I mentioned Rico Dowdle, who coming off just a great game, filling in for Chuba Hubbard, 206 yards, player of the month or player of the week in the NFL for offense. But Dallas comes in here with an underrated offense, or not underrated offense, but underrated running game too. Javonte Williams, who came over from Dallas or from Denver to Dallas, was kind of a quiet signing. A lot of people still thought the Dallas Cowboys needed to do something at running back. They didn't think that he was going to be a guy that they could count on. And all he's done so far this year is averaged 5.6 yards a carry. I think he's got 3 touchdowns. So this running game for the Cowboys is something that again, will be another test for a Panthers defense who has shown that they have improved their run defense from last year, which, that wasn't hard because last year was the worst in the history of the NFL. But they have shown, especially at home, where they held a chain last week to 19 yards. The Falcons, when we beat them 30-0, with a great running attack, we held them in check to 100 yards. So the rush defense has been getting some momentum, but Williams is coming in here and went to Carolina, so I'm sure he's going to have that kind of hometown feel and wanting to do some damage. Dowdle talked a little smack about playing the guys that let him go, and that's why I asked you that question. Schottenheimer, Dallas's coach, has even made a comment kind of throwing it to the side, like whatever, But Dallas, it will be another good test to see if this Carolina Panther run defense is for real.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And, one of the things that they've done a lot better this year, especially at home, is limit the opponent's rushing yards. And that's something that, that kind of can put them in a position to maybe have a little bit more success, with stopping the pass and those type of things. Because the last thing, as a defense, you want to do is allow, those on-time plays to continue to happen. Stay in front of the change. Get those 2nd and 5s, those 3rd and 2s, because you never give the opportunity for the defense to pin their ears back, and you're susceptible to the run and pass and big plays in the passing game. So, limiting what they've done really well is on first down. They've stymied the defense and got them into a passing situation in 2nd down where they become a little bit more predictable. So if they can continue to do that against the Cowboys, it'll be to their favor for sure. Playing at home, having the crowd behind them, it definitely helps. Dak Prescott is having a pretty good year.
He's having a great year.
He's almost 1,400 yards passing the ball. He's been efficient. 10 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. And, even though they don't have their top players, Pickens is still a guy that can make plays in the passing game. And, getting the ball to the running back out of the backfield, something they've always done, really well. So, Dowdle's going to have a good game to keep this offense off the field. And if they're able to do that, and the offense for the Panthers is able to, matriculate the ball down the field, keep it into manageable situations, have some long drives, they could very well be in this game.
Well, you just touched on Dallas's passing game and Pickens. Let me read you some stats real quick offensively for this game because I thought it was pretty interesting. Dallas comes in as the number one team in total yards in the NFL, averaging 413 a game. Mm-hmm. Panthers are 24th at 329. Dallas comes in at 29.8 points a game, which is 4th in the NFL. Panthers come in at 20 points a game at 24. So Dallas is going to score. You mentioned Pickens. CeeDee Lamb out again this week, which is definitely a good thing. But Pickens has picked up a lot of up the pace. Pickens so far this year has 23 catches, only 2 drops, 357 yards, and 5 touchdowns. So he's a weapon, and we knew that in Pittsburgh. We knew it when Dallas got him. We didn't know what kind of mental state he was going to be in because he's known to fly off the handle a little bit, and I think that's why Tomlin said, enough, get this guy out of here. But he's playing well. Everyone in Dallas has said he's been a great teammate. So Jimmy Horn Jr. Is going to have a hell of a matchup with him, and we saw what Waddle did to us last week. A lot of that was in the first half, minus that 40-yard touchdown in the fourth quarter. But they're going to have their hands full of Pickens.
Well, Pickens is a different receiver than Waddle. Waddle is going to beat you with speed. Pickens has a little bit of speed, but he's going to go up there and high point the ball, use his body, his 6'5", 6'6" frame, to go up and, make the tough catches. He's an explosive player when he's checked in, when he's engaged in, what's going on in the offense. They're going to target him a lot, I'm sure. But, the player in the position I'm worried about is really the thing that we've had a tough time, defending last week would be a tight end.
That's the next on my list.
Ferguson is a good tight end.
Top 5 right now.
Yeah, he's a big target for Prescott.
Yep.
And having that running game to be able to utilize that play action pass down the middle is going to be something the Panthers have to stop, because it's almost like you have to pick your poison. In order to stop that tight end, you like to play that cover 2 where that linebacker can get a little deeper. But if you're going to play cover 2, you're going to be susceptible to stopping the run. The thought process is you have to run them out of cover 2 because they're going to take away the edges. They're going to take away the deep third with the linebacker that can get down the middle, and you have to run the ball at them. And if the Panthers are going to stay consistent and run the ball and have success against them, then they're going to have to do that. But Ferguson on the other side is a guy that can attack the middle of the field.
Yep.
He's going to be a big body, and he's going to be a trouble, for our linebackers.
So let me ask you this question. We talked about this Monday, and I asked you this after the game. Going into this game, knowing that Ferguson's having a huge year, knowing that he's an issue, and knowing the fact the Panthers have had trouble guarding tight ends now for quite some time, but also knowing that whatever we did when we talked about how we dropped our linebackers back or whatever it was, and you explained it on Monday, and it worked. Waller, it pretty much shut him down the rest of the game. Do you come into this game again saying, okay, we're still going to start, we're going to come in to stop the run, and if Ferguson gets us, he gets us, and then we'll adjust? Or do you come in saying, let's take Ferguson away? You still come in and say, we got to stop the run?
You're always going to stop the run.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the number one priority. Every D coordinator will say, if we can't stop the run, we can't stop the bleeding.
Yeah.
Right? So we have to be able to stop the run. If the Panthers want to have any success, you try to take away and limit them and force them into, second and long situations. And now you can be a little bit more predictable, but you have to try to take away the run. And especially, unfortunately, that's the challenge for the Panthers right now, is that they don't have a lot of guys that really can be two-way goes, right? It's like we either have to sell out to stop the run or we have to sell out to stop the pass. We don't have enough guys that can transition as the play's going to playing the run and then, understanding it's passing and have the athletic ability to get back to stop the pass. That's the problem with our the middle of our defense and our linebackers in particular, is that you're either going to say, hey, we're downhill playing the run and we're going to let our safeties and corners, match up and try to stop them, or we're going to drop back and play zones and keep everything in front of us and force them to run the ball.
Well, again, I'm asking you this from a guy who doesn't know the X's and O's nearly as well as you do, but in the second half, when we did change and make an adjustment, and we did slow Waller down quite a lot, we also did a really good job against the run still. So is there not something we can do that's like in the middle, or is it, our defensive line played great in that second half? And is that the key too? If the defensive line gets it done, and then it allows the linebackers to maybe be a little more flexible?
Well, it didn't seem like the Dolphins did a very good job of adjusting, because in the first half they were up 17-0.
Yeah.
They were up 17-0. Why? Because they're throwing the ball all over the place. So what do they think they're going to do in the second half?
Yeah.
They're going to vacate the run and continue to try to throw the ball, right? Coordinators want to throw the ball more than run the ball all day long because of the chunk plays, because they feel like they have a bigger impact on the way the game is being played and the calls. Most coordinators are pass-oriented guys. They're not run the football. The only guy that I can really think of in the NFL that's a run-first, pass-second guy is Greg Roman. Mm-hmm. And what he's been able to do, with the organizations that he's been with. So, he comes to mind as a guy that is going to run the ball, and then he's going to use that play action to beat you. I think he's with the Niners now, if I'm not mistaken.
Chargers.
Oh, the Chargers. Okay, so him and Harbaugh have a lot of synergy there.
They're a match made in heaven.
They're a match made in heaven. Harbaugh even though Harbaugh plays quarterback, he believes in running the football to throw the ball.
Yep.
Right? A lot of quarterbacks and coaches in the NFL, they feel like we're going to throw the ball to run the ball.
Yep.
Right? We're going to, get you in situations. As soon as you start dropping off, we're going to hit you with a little dive or a little draw and get those 8-9 chunk plays and keep the momentum going on first down. If we don't get it, second down, we're going to, run some of those plays and be able to get the ball back on pace. But I think for most teams, they want to throw the ball. So I think that's what happened in the game against the Panthers, or the Dolphins with the Panthers, was, they had so much success in the first half. They were just going to stick with it. They didn't make those adjustments. The Panthers made those adjustments and started taking away the tight end, and it forced Tua to make other reads, and the only other guy they had was Waddle. They took the top off once with him, and he had another big catch later in the game. But you kind of have to pick your poison. Like I said, you're limited in what you can do, because you have to almost sell out so much.
Right.
With what the Panthers are doing defensively, or the lack of depth or the lack of talent they have on the defense.
Well, and listen, we're going to have to score points to beat Dallas. We know that, and the good thing.
Not necessarily. And here's the way you don't. Run the ball for 200 yards.
Right. Keep them off the field.
Keep them off the field, right? I don't have to score but 17, 18 points, right? 19 points. Score last week was very similar to that. The Dolphins could light you up,
Yep.
you know, with some of the players that they had. I mean, they were without Tyreek Hill, but that's an explosive offense. You know, throwing the ball with Waddle and Hill not being there hurt them a lot. You know, with their running game as well, right?
Yep.
So keeping them off the field, moving the ball, keeping the ball on pace, running the ball for 200 yards really was the way that the Panthers have to win and play football games. And at home, you're able to do that because you're not concerned as much about the crowd noise. It's easier to do those things, and that's where the Panthers had success. If they wanted to win this game, Panthers are going to have to run the ball, keep the offense off the field, and control the clock.
Well, good news for the Panthers, and we'll dive into their offense for a little bit here. Dallas is last in the league in defense. They give up 431 yards a game. They're last in the league against the pass, and they're 23rd versus the run. So the good news is, for what you just said, we should be able to run the ball, which should open up the passing game, which we should be able to take advantage of if you look at what Dallas' defense has done so far this year, which has been bad. Panthers, on the other hand, against the pass on defense are 10th, and against the rush they're 14th. So Panthers have a much better balanced defense, where the Cowboys have a much better balanced offense. But Bryce Young, we talked about him last week, how in the second half, after a horrible first half with a fumble, you know, an untouched fumble, and then an interception, in the second half, he played very well, made some great passes. The touchdown pass to Legette was not only a great catch, but a great pass. You and I have both been harping on the fact that we see these glimpses of Bryce where we go, man, maybe we have a quarterback. Maybe he is the guy. Maybe he was worth the first-round pick. And then we have glimpses of him where we go, get him out of here. You think this has a chance, facing this defense, to be the first game this year where Bryce can put a whole game together?
I mean, I hope so. I mean, I hope for his sake, and I hope for the Panthers' sake. But it just the track record over the last 3 years would suggest otherwise. He's only had back-to-back winning games one time coming off the bench last year, after sitting and you know, maybe, you know, having a favorable schedule, having some games at home. You know, the good news is that he's playing at home. So he's going to have, you know, from what we've seen,
where he's been a lot better.
He's been a lot better. He's won 8 games of his, you know, 9 games that he's won, you know, at home. So, you know, that's a plus. You know, the communication is going to be there. You know, where he can understand where people are going to be. You know, he's not going to have to worry about the crowd noise, et cetera. You know, but I think, you know, what really helped the Panthers win last week, and, you know, we haven't talked about him yet, maybe we will, is a guy like Xavier Legette.
Look what I just wrote down.
Yeah.
You're nailing it.
Yeah. I mean, Xavier Legette was a guy for the Panthers that kind of called his shot, which is a good thing, but also a concerning thing, right? I mean, I'm concerned because where was this guy the other 3-4 weeks? Does he love football? You know, where was his mindset at to say, I know I'm good enough. You know, I know I'm athletic enough. I know I'm big enough. I know I'm fast enough. He made a couple of great plays.
Yep.
And plays for receivers of his stature and the position he plays doesn't always have to be in the form of catching the ball.
Right.
Right. It's the little things that you do, like the Muhsin Muhammad's of the world, you know, where we would turn on, as an offensive lineman, highlight reels of how Moose would roll his hips, hit linebackers, and decleat them.
Yeah.
He would take on safeties, get his head on the proper position on the inside, and then drive his feet after he locks up without holding and being in a good position to allow a secondary run if that run were to break that line of scrimmage. And what that does is it opens up the holes where guys in position have to tackle in space, right? Where guys like Dowdle can make guys miss, they'll run through tackles, etc. Now you don't have that extra hitter there, where he wasn't doing that in the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season. He was going, and I think Schlereth even,
Schlereth was.
You know, made the announcement or saw, you know, from what he was watching, is that, you know, the guy really, he's not blocking, he's not catching. Why is he out here? They sat him.
Yep.
And maybe that's what the spark that he needed to show that there's more to playing football than just catching the pass.
Yeah, and I'm sure the coaches probably showed him that too, because there were literally reels put together on social media that were showing his lack of hustle or his lack of blocking. Whereas after the game against the Dolphins, there was reels putting together of him blocking his butt off. And because of that, like you just mentioned, Dowdle had a heck of a day. And so hopefully that 2-week period of time that Legette didn't play, whether it was his hamstring or whatever the reason was, the light switch seemed to come on a little bit this past game.
Well, he's embarrassed,
right?
And pride is a big thing for players, but it showed that at least he cared enough to not go out there and not care.
Yep.
Right. So, can he do it again?
Yeah.
Right. Will he be another Bryce Young, where it's up and down and up and down, the ebbs and flows, the roller coaster, or is it going to be, this is going to be who he is as a player? You found your niche. You're going to go out there. You're going to be a play action guy. You're going to run the tough routes over the middle. You're going to use your body like a tight end. You can run those out routes where, now that Ted is, picking up, they're trying to take away him. You can play off of him very nicely, but your main role is going to be blocking safeties and linebackers down the field, where it's going to help us win as a football team.
Yep.
Those are the things that good players or good teams have found players like that to go out there and play that offensive line role. They're not gonna get any credit for it. You're not gonna have any stats for it, but it's the reason why you're winning and lose games.
Yep, and that's the word that we use so much when we talk about the Panthers is consistency. Bryce Young has not been consistent. Our defense has not been consistent. Legette has not been consistent. So if all these guys can learn and start being consistent, the Panthers have the makings of at least a solid football team. I'm not saying they're a playoff team or any of that stuff. I mean, we got a long way to go before that. But my point is, everything you just said about Legette can be said about so many players on this team. So for them to put a full game together, it's going to take all these guys to have a consistent game, not just a little glimpse here and there.
And here's I think the bigger picture of really what we're trying to address and maybe say is the standard of excellence for the Panthers is so inconsistent. Who is responsible for the culture? The head coach.
Yep.
And if the head coach is allowing this type of lack of execution without any consequences, then players are going to do what they're allowed to do. It's hard to play the game, but if you're getting pats on the back and you're not being, punished for missing blocks, there's no accountability. There's no players are just going to, hey, listen, I mean, I missed. I'm sorry. You have to hold players accountable.
Mm-hmm.
I want to bring you back to what Nick Saban. I know this is college.
Yep.
But it wasn't Nick Saban that was out there, kind of dog whipping the guys and browbeating them. It was the players, right? The center and the quarterback for the Alabama Crimson Tide in a national championship game where they're up 42-10. I don't know if you remember, the scenario that I'm talking about, but I think it was what's the guy's name, McCarron, or the quarterback for the Tide.
Yeah,
and the center that was going to play. These guys are going to play on Sunday.
Yep.
44-10, 40, whatever the score, the game was over.
I think that was against Notre Dame in the national championship.
It was against Notre Dame.
Damn you.
But the quarterback goes up to the center and is yelling and screaming because the standard of excellence is still there.
Yep.
They don't play, regardless of what the score is, to anybody else because Nick Saban has ingrained that into this program.
Yep.
Right? And I don't care what level it's at. If you allow those things to exist and you allow mediocrity to exist, that culture is going to start to fester. And it feels like for the Panthers, because of the lack of consistency, that culture exists. The capability is there, right, with Legette and with other players. Bryce, but if there's no accountability to what's going on to create the culture, right, the players are going to do what the inmates are going to run the asylum.
Well, wanted to ask you one more thing before we move on to college football and some other NFL games. A lot's been made about how well our linebackers played this week. So Wallace and Roseboom definitely had the best game they've had of the season. Canales said that Roseboom, and I want to ask you because you played center and you played guard, so you should be able to give some good insight on this. Roseboom so far this year has been calling the defense. When he was with the Rams last year, when he had 120 tackles, he did not. He's been calling the defense. This week, when they met with the linebackers or whatever, they said, you know what? Wallace is more comfortable calling the defense. Roseboom is more comfortable not calling the defense. So they made the switch. And we saw a dramatic difference in our linebacker plays, especially in the second half. When you were playing offensive line, and whether you were center or guard, you made the calls. You also played when you didn't. Is that really something that can be a different? There's certain players that just can't do it.
That's right. That's right. There's guys out there that it helps keep them involved and active with all the nuances that are going on. Guys like Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, they have the cerebral capability to make moves on, adjustments on the move and to process things very quickly. Other players, it's not that they're not a good player. It's their brains don't maybe function the same way. There's a reason why everybody isn't capable of playing point guard.
Yep.
Right. Point guards have the ability to process as the play is happening and see things going on before they start.
Yep.
This ball needs to go into this window. This is where I'm going to throw it. This is where the tackle is going to be. But if I'm asked to think, right, it slows me down from playing. If you're one of
reacting.
If you're one of those guys. The reason why offenses run motions and shifts and formation changes is to try to create thinking for the defense, because we know as offensive players, they're not very smart, right? They find ball, see ball, and that doesn't go for all of them.
No, I get it.
But Ed Reeds and Troy Polamalu's and
Ray
Lewis's and Luke Kuechly's of the world, those guys could. I mean, they're Hall of Famers for a reason.
Yeah,
because they could do it all.
Yeah,
right. But there's other guys out there that, find ball, see ball, tackle ball, just let me eat.
Yeah.
Right? Let me go hunt the quarterback.
Yeah.
Let me go do this. Let me go do that. They don't have the ability to process those things. So if I'm a coach and I know that about a guy, I'm not going to ask him, to be the leader of calling the plays if the guy, can barely, walk and chew gum at the same time. Right. So, I have to know my personnel and what their strengths are and what their weaknesses are. And it sounds like, the more that they're playing together, they're trying to figure those things out.
Yeah, and I give Canales credit and our defensive coordinator, because Roseman, I think, just kind of flat out said that, look, I'm better when my hair's on fire and I'm reacting.
I'm downhill, I'm playing, I'm looking at the ball, I'm reacting to the reads that I see, and I don't have to think, gosh, are we in the right position? I'm calling things out and I'm not ready to go yet because it's happening so fast.
Yeah.
Right. So the game hasn't slowed down in this defense yet for what they're doing. I just want to go play.
Yeah. Where Wallace actually said, I'd rather call the defense. I like
doing those things because it gets me in a position where I know what's going to happen, and it helps me process and it helps me think so that I'm aware and ready for everything.
Yeah.
Right? There's two different players in the way that they think.
Kind of like golf or baseball. They always say that when you're playing your best golf or baseball, you're not thinking.
Right.
And then once you start thinking, it's a disaster.
That's right.
I know that's me for sure. But I guess that's the same thing.
Same thing as a point guard in basketball, DJ. I mean, you look at, the reason why you have some guys that don't turn the ball over and have great assist ratios is because they have that understanding of where everybody is going to be on the court. They can see the play develop. They know when the defense rotates to a certain way, what our play is going to be and where the ball is going to go. As the defense is rotating, it's going to become second nature.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw the ball here. I'm going to pass the ball here. Or this is the play we're going to, right away. And it just happens naturally, even though I think that's a talent that people don't talk about. It's the reason why I think, and this is going to be, kind of for dads for kids, right?
Yeah.
It's the reason why I feel like a lot of players that play sports should play soccer, right? Because soccer is a sport of movement within the game, right? Where everybody is positioned to move and be able to see and understand spacing and understand positions and understand where the ball should go. But it helps you with vision so you can see plays develop before they happen. That was one of the things that I was really good at. It turned my smaller body into a faster player, which I was already fast enough, but
anticipating.
It helped me anticipate the blitz. It helped me anticipate the stunt. I could feel, because I could see those things happen before they happen.
Yep.
So I knew where the play was supposed to go. I knew what it was supposed to do, and I could be in a position. It made me play faster.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be interesting to see the Panthers if that carries over to this game. Hopefully we see a full 4 quarters from this Panther team, and hopefully they come out with a victory. Let's go to college football. We've got a great card this weekend.
We have a great weekend.
And a lot of good games.
A lot better than last weekend.
A lot better than last weekend. And while we go through these games, we'll hit them. We'll make our picks too.
Okay.
So we'll tie it all in, and then we'll finish with some NFL games as well, because there's some good NFL games too. Let's start off with NC State at Notre Dame. Notre Dame, lost the first 2 games of the year to Texas A&M and Miami, who have proved to be 2 really good teams. I'm still not sold that Notre Dame's defense is as good as it needs to be to be a contender. I do love their freshman quarterback. I think the kid's a stud. Notre Dame's laying 22.5. NC State has shown the ability to score points, and their defense is not stopped anybody. Notre Dame at home. This isn't Notre Dame. So I think this is a huge game for NC State, obviously for both teams, but I think this is a huge game for NC State to kind of stick their flag in the ground and go, all right, look, our defense wasn't playing full games. We weren't doing this. We weren't doing that. I love their quarterback. I love their running back. What do you think about the Notre Dame NC State game?
I'm with you. I think for NC State, this is a statement game if they want to, have any type of chance to do anything in the Pac or in the ACC. I do agree with you. I think their quarterback is a guy that can make things happen with his legs. I just don't know if they have enough talent, especially to go into South Bend to, handle what Notre Dame is going to throw at them. 22 points is a lot of points.
A lot of points.
That's a lot of points. NC State can score more and better this year. Notre Dame has been a little susceptible to, certain teams where they may have sleptwalked into those games. I think Notre Dame wins. I don't think it's going to be by 22.5. I would definitely go with NC State, with the 22 points.
I'm, as you know, a big Notre Dame fan, and I think you just nailed it. I think Notre Dame wins the game, but I think 22.5 is a lot. They were a big favorite over Boise State at home this past week, and Boise covered, and their offense is similar. Their quarterback.
I don't think the game will be close per se, but I do think that NC State is not going to quit.
Yep.
They're going to play hard, and they may be a backdoor cover late in the game.
I agree with you. So I've got NC State as well. Another game I'm excited about, Ohio State at Illinois. We've talked about Illinois. I love their quarterback. I think the guy's a gamer. I think they've got a really good coach. They've done a good job stopping the run for the most part. Indiana wore them out, but other than that, they've been pretty solid. Ohio State has really played nobody yet. They beat Texas, but we really are both kind of down on Texas. They were on our.
Don't sleep on Washington and that victory in Seattle.
That's true.
I mean, that was a good, complete victory for Ohio State, where Washington was in that game, coming off of being the top team in the country, scoring points. Washington has a good offense. Mm-hmm. I don't think their
quarterback's a stud.
I don't think they're as explosive as maybe. Some of the SEC teams with the talent that they have. But I think as a group, they have a receiver, they have a running back, and they have a quarterback that can all make things happen. Mm-hmm. And they have a coach that understands how to utilize them.
Yep.
Playing at home, Ohio State neutralized them.
Yeah.
Washington moved the ball at home pretty efficiently in the first half. Second half, it was a different story. Ohio State, the hype and the heart wore off of the Huskies, and they just took over the game. They were just too good at every position, including the guys up front, where there was just no more movement there in the second half.
Ohio State is minus 14.5. Again, like I said, I love Indiana's quarterback. The dude.
What makes you like Illinois?
Well, I'm not saying I'm taking them yet. I'm just saying I've seen them play 3 times, including when they went to Duke and beat Duke, and Duke's proven to be a solid team. They're definitely not Ohio State. But my point is, I love their quarterback. He's a gamer. He's scrappy. He can run. He can make. I mean, this past week it was a great example of how he uses his feet. He throws the ball. He's tough. With that being said, Ohio State's a different ball game, and Ohio State's defense, in my opinion, is the best defense in the country. Offensively, they've yet to necessarily.
I would counter you with Miami. But I can understand. I mean, you're justified for thinking
Miami's resume is better for sure. Yeah. So I couldn't argue it, but I do think Ohio State, when all is said and done, their defense is going to be the best defense. I'm not sold on their offense yet. They've shown glimpses of it, but I'm going to take Illinois getting the 14.5. I love them at home. I love their coach. I love their quarterback. I think Ohio State wins the game, but I think Illinois does enough to cover the 14. The hook could be a big deal here.
I think Ohio State does what Illinois wants to do better than what Illinois does. And if you remember the old Wisconsin teams with, what they were able to do with guys like Ron Dane and things like that.
Which is where their Illinois coach came from,
right.
yeah.
You look at what he's able to do. He wants to run the football. He wants to play big boy, Big Ten football.
Yep.
He's got big bodies everywhere. He's got a big package for running the football. And don't Charles Barkley me with that big package.
I was going to say, you're wearing a pee and pull hat. I'm wondering what you're talking about here.
Not that type of package. He's got a heavy package in which they run on short yardage, which is they do really, really well. But when you see bigger, faster, athletic guys on the other side that are able to stunt, slant, and are well coached, they give those big teams that are lethargic problems.
Yep.
Ohio State will give Illinois problems because of their speed and their team speed on defense, something Illinois has not seen this year. They have not seen the likes of Ohio State's team defense. So the running the ball for the 3 yards in the cloud of dust, when you're getting 1 and 2 and you're having a punt, you may slow the game down a little bit or speed the game up a little bit, but ultimately when you get behind 2 touchdowns, game's over.
Yeah, and
I think that's what's going to happen in this game. I think Ohio State just wears them out, just like they did with the Huskies. And in the second half, they roll. They start making plays in the passing game. Illinois isn't a great defense. They're good. They're not the defense that they were in the 90s with Simeon Rice and those guys, but they're still good. They're just not Ohio State level caliber guys.
Yeah, and the one thing that scared me about picking Illinois was, the one game they played a really good offense this year was at Indiana, and Indiana just rolled them. Rolled them. So that was in Indiana. It was a big game. We'll see. I think Illinois has enough to maybe keep it at least within 14 points. We'll see. This is a game I know you're excited about. I am as well. Alabama coming off 2 huge wins, 4 in a row after losing to Florida State. They go to Missouri. Missouri has been a team that's been scrappy and tough, and Missouri's a fun place to play, and their fans are great. Alabama's -3.5, rolling into Missouri. We saw Missouri 2 weeks ago take care of South Carolina, and what was a tight game, good game. Alabama, Missouri, who you got?
I'm taking Bama all day. I think this
3.5. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this game right here. Missouri really hasn't played a team that has the talent level of Alabama. South Carolina's good. They're not Alabama. They don't have the talent all the way around. The defense for South Carolina, I think, is a little susceptible, especially with their front. They didn't get much pressure on Missouri, and Missouri was able to run out there, throw the ball all over the place, and just eventually wear out the Gamecocks. When it comes to Alabama has found something. I don't know if DeBoer has, browbeat them into submission, but the game against Georgia was big boy football. That was a traditional. It looked like 2 NFL teams out there playing, and they were playing hard. And I love this new quarterback for Alabama, and I think you're going to see him have a really big day because I think he has probably one of the strongest arms in college football.
Well, he's moved into the Heisman talk right now, and I think you're right. And I think the thing about Alabama, and you alluded to it, is that I do feel like they've kind of figured out now who they are, and I give DeBoer credit for that. Getting their running back against Georgia, he ran all over Vandy last week. The kid's a stud, and I do.
Vandy and Missouri, to me, are the same type of caliber team.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's a coin flip when those two teams play on who's going to win that. If Pavea doesn't turn the ball over, et cetera, if Missouri gets hot, they can score a lot of points, right? But those 2 caliber teams, and I'm not just talking about those 2 positions, I'm talking about the entire team.
Tough, scrappy.
Well, they're both hard-nosed, tough, scrappy teams. They're well-coached. They just don't have the Sunday bodies that Alabama, Georgia, LSU, Texas A&M have. They don't have those type of bodies. They have them sprinkled out, but they're not as many as what those top teams in the SEC have.
Yeah, I think Alabama's kind of figured it out, so I'm taking Bama as well on that one. Here's a game that I'm excited about. This is one I know we're going to disagree on, which is great. Indiana at Oregon.
At Oregon.
I never thought in a million years that I would ever even talk about Indiana football. I thought it would be basketball we'd be talking about, and might have the roles of reverse there. We don't talk about their basketball program anymore, and their football program last year made it to the playoffs. This year, again, they've not played the toughest schedule for sure. They did whoop Illinois, I think 46 to. I mean, they wore them out at home, but this is a different ball game going across the country to an Oregon team who we know has speed all over the place. Went to Penn State and beat Penn State. And, you brought up something. I don't remember if it was on the show Monday or if it was something of you and I just having a conversation where you said Oregon beat Penn State twice. And I'd never heard somebody say that before, and it makes such great sense. And what your point was that they beat Penn State, and the hangover that Penn State had from getting beat, they lost to UCLA, and I never heard that. And I thought that was pretty interesting. But Indiana going to Oregon, two great quarterbacks in this game, two first-round quarterbacks in this game with Mendoza and Moore. Oregon's laying 7.5. I've never been to Oregon. I've seen it on TV, and you told me that it's just a loud, great place to play football. Indiana at Oregon, what you got?
Indiana's, of their 5 wins, 3 of them have been of directional schools that I've never heard of. I mean, Kennesaw State, where's that?
Georgia, I think.
You think? I don't know either.
I don't know. Yeah.
I have no idea, right?
Yeah. Yep.
We know where Old Dominion's at.
And they're normally a solid football team.
They're not a bad team. That was a good win, 27-14. Not really impressive for a game of the week. But then they go up, beat 73-0 Iowa State Sycamores.
Yeah, never heard of them.
Not Iowa State Cyclones.
Yep.
Iowa State Sycamores.
Never heard of her.
Right? So, right. So, I mean, that's their wins. And then they have the big win against Illinois, which is impressive.
Yeah.
Give them credit for that. And then beating just this last week, I believe they have a good win against another Big Ten opponent. And it was a close game. I'll look at the spread and the score of it to give you the final. But it wasn't a barn burner. Here it was right here. They beat Iowa 20-15.
At Iowa.
At Iowa. Right.
Yep.
Good win.
Yep.
So it's the objective. Just win,
Iowa
baby.
can't score.
Iowa's not going to score, but it's a 20-15 game. They scored 20 points.
Yep.
Teams are starting to figure them out a little bit. Indiana, just like last year, this is a different class. Right? Indiana, you give them credit. They're 5-0. They're scoring a lot of points. They beat Illinois. I can understand why their rankings are what they are. They have a lot of returners coming back, but sometimes it's a good thing. Sometimes it's not. They're playing a top 10 caliber team.
Yep.
I think Indiana's a top 25 caliber team. They're not Oregon good. Right? Oregon has gotten better up front. They've gotten speed on defense, and they've gotten size now. They got hungry. They want to prove a point. And they have one of the best young quarterbacks in the country with speed everywhere.
Yep.
Offense has never been Oregon's problem. It's always been matching up with the big boys on the defensive side. They've went out and recruited that level. Phil Knight has opened up the pocketbooks.
Yep.
And Indiana, I'm sorry, they're just going to be outmatched and overwhelmed. When you play at Oregon, the crowd literally is like, if they spill a beer, it's going to hit me in the head.
You're right on top of you.
They're right on top of you. There's no room, and it'll be a packed house because this will be the only thing going on in Eugene other than the Blue Hairs going out there and protesting because they have nothing else to do with their lives, or the tree huggers cutting down trees.
Well, I was saying, does the Oregon fans drink beer, or do they drink the weed drinks?
Yeah,
the CBD drinks.
There's probably more. That probably is one of their best home field advantages. Is there's so much smoke in the air, and it's not the smoke from the fireworks. It's the smoke from the weed and the cannabis that's going around. That every player on the other team is high as a kite and seeing too.
That's like they asked Deion Sanders earlier in the year, what's his big home field advantage in Colorado, and he goes, well, man, like in the second quarter, there's so much weed smoke out there, the other team don't know what to do with it. I think you just changed my mind. For the first time ever, I was going to take Indiana because I really am high on their quarterback. I love their coach.
Speaking about being high, they're going to be really high too.
Yeah, you just changed my mind. For the first time ever, I think you just changed my mind. I'm going to go Oregon. Yeah. And if it bites me in the butt, I'm going to sit here
on. What's the spread on that? 3.5?
7.5.
So 7.5. That would be the only, kind of. I mean, you could see Indiana is not going to give up, and this is ranked the top 10 team. Like I said before, I don't think they're a top 10 talent,
right? But
I do think they're top 25 talent. They're going to be in the conversation at the end of the year, because of the bracket, the side of the bracket they play on. They've beaten some good teams, but ultimately, I think the cream rises to the top. Oregon could be up 14. They could be up 21. Indiana's not going to stop them. or they're going to have to score with them. If they can score with Oregon, they have a chance. But it's going to be a shootout.
Well, where you changed my mind was when you were talking about. I mean, the fact that look, Iowa has a good defense. Iowa is always a tough place to play. We know Iowa can't score, but when you said the fact they scored 20 points at Iowa made me think. Well, you know what? Oregon's going to be a tougher place to play
than Iowa,
with bigger players, faster players. So I do like Indiana. I love their coach. I love the quarterback. But I'm with you on Oregon. Now you just flipped me for the first time in history.
That's amazing.
Red River rivalry, baby. Oklahoma at Texas. Texas comes limping in after Florida. Puts one on them. Texas has not played well this year. The only games they've played decent were against the teams you just named, probably Kennesaw State and
directional teams. Yeah.
The spread started Texas -2.5. Now it's Oklahoma -1.5 because there's rumors out there that John Mateer, the great quarterback at Oklahoma, who's been out with a thumb injury, is pushing to play this week. So there's still not been an announcement. There probably won't be until Saturday morning. But the spread has now went to Oklahoma -1.5. And I think it's my pick this time, so I'll start. Oklahoma's impressed me this year because we know they play defense. We know their coach, Venables, is a defensive guy. But since he's been in Oklahoma, the offense has struggled. The defense hasn't been great, but the offense has struggled. This year, the defense is playing really well, and then Mateer is just a difference maker at quarterback. Without him in this game, I think Texas has got a legitimate shot. But I don't trust Texas on offense. I think Manning has a chance to be a really good quarterback, but what I'm seeing from him so far is inconsistency, inexperience. And I read an article the other day that compared his first 6 games as a starter to some of the really good quarterbacks that are now went to the NFL or in the Hall of Fame or whatever, and they were very similar. And I wish I would have.
But here would be my only rebuttal to that. I saw what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Those players, when they first started, were freshmen and sophomores. They didn't sit back for 2 years and watch and observe. Manning has had 2 years to sit and observe and learn under Sarkisian. And he still comes out there with all the hype and the heart and still not showing what he needs to do cerebrally. He's one of those players, I feel like, DJ, that we were talking about. Just because you have the Manning name doesn't give you the Manning mind, right? You would expect, and I think we all did, for him to understand the game as well as both of those guys did. And it's what gave them the ability to be successful because they weren't the best athletes. This kid has the athletic ability twice as good as either one of his his uncles.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have the mind. Right. And why? I don't know. He doesn't have the.
Could it just be, though, inexperience? Like, isn't that fair? Like again.
He would expect some growth. I think it's fair. You would expect some growth. You'd expect some progress. We have not seen that against good teams.
He had 2 bad interceptions against Florida last week.
He's still throwing check downs. He's still not letting the ball go down the field. He's still not seeing the field very well, especially in a hostile environment in a big game against great players. In Florida, they took it to Manning.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, he made a couple of plays. He made a couple of nice throws. But again, the inconsistencies with that position and the turnovers are no different than what Bryce is doing. We talk about, making the argument where I feel like he's a backup quarterback in the NFL because of the inconsistencies. Manning, if he's going to be at the next level, at this level in college football, has to be a dominant player and has to be able to see the field like Sarkisian is calling the plays. He has to be on the same page, and right now they're not. And I don't see that changing this week. I don't see that changing against Oklahoma.
I don't either. I think if Mateer plays, then
I don't think it matters whether Mateer plays or not. I'm talking about Manning and what he's bringing to the table for Texas. I thought last week against Florida, it might be time to sit and bench him. Maybe it was the week before, but there's been a couple of times this year where I felt like for his betterment, right, for the betterment of the team, I might have to think about sitting him because he's just not making the right reads. He's not seeing what he's supposed to be seeing with the way the offense is being run.
Well, I think if Mateer plays, I think this game, I think Oklahoma -1.5 is the best bet on the board this week if he plays and if he's healthy. If he doesn't play, I still agree with you. I think Oklahoma's defense is going to do enough to cause Manning to make some mistakes, and I think offensively they're going to run the ball, and I think Oklahoma gets this done. The underdog in this series seems to win outright every time. I don't think that's the case
But
this
I mean,
week.
you're talking about when they're underdog and they're like 7, 8 points. I mean,
no,
this is
even when they're
this
3
is a
points.
pick 'em. This is a pick 'em game.
Yeah, it's a pick 'em right now.
It's a
Basically,
pick 'em game. It's the difference I think for Oklahoma has been since Stoops has left and since they've gone through a couple of the transitions is like you pointed out with Venables. Their defense has gotten significantly better. May have not been the best last year. Oklahoma against top tier teams has always given up the booty, right? And the teams have scored at them when they play those elite, those elite teams. You can go back to the game against Boise State when Kellen Moore, they were running the trick plays and doing all things against Oklahoma, but Oklahoma has made a change at the head coach, and defense is important there now.
Yep.
It's no longer spread you out and run the gun and run and shoot and score 100 points.
When Lincoln Riley was there,
When Lincoln Riley was there, it's now we're gonna play football.
Yeah.
We're gonna use our big boys up front. We're gonna use our running backs, and we're gonna play the game in a more methodical way where we're going to control the tempo of the game. We're going to play great defense. We're going to be good on special teams, and we're going to run the football.
Yep.
Right. And that's the way that Venables, that's the mindset that he's brought to Oklahoma. And it's refreshing to see because that's really, I think, the most consistent way to execute at any level is to, be able to control those controllables.
So you got Oklahoma.
I got Oklahoma.
All right. We're the same on that one. Florida at Texas A&M. Florida has the #1 toughest schedule in the country. They lost to LSU. They blew the game at the end to South Florida. So they've had some tough losses, but their defense is legit. And we both have talked about Lagway, their quarterback. If their offense would ever figure it out and not turn the ball over, they could be a really good team. And we saw that when they beat Texas this week. Lagway had his best game of the season. The defense did what they do. And now they go to Texas A&M. And I'll tell you what, Texas A&M to me is as well-rounded as a team I've seen. Their defense is really good, and we love their coach. Booker, he was great at Duke. I love their quarterback. They've got speed to burn at receiver. 7.5-point favorite. Florida coming off that big win, going to Texas A&M. Texas A&M took a while to get going last week. They ended up pulling away in the second half
Against Mississippi State.
Who's been better than advertised this year, right? They've been a lot better than people thought they would be, but they finally got it going in the second half. But Texas A&M -7.5 at home versus Florida.
I'm not necessarily sold on Texas A&M yet. I mean, Utah State, a game 44-22. They handled
Beat Notre Dame on the very last play when they held, but whatever.
41-40 against Notre Dame. I think if Florida played Notre Dame right now, I think Florida would beat Notre Dame. I do. I think that Florida found something, and I know the game was at home, right? And there was a lot of energy with the crowd, and they were feeding off the defense, and really getting after. Where they played Florida. Who they play last week? They played Florida.
They went home against Texas.
A lot of energy trying to slow down Manning. I had a brain fart. Sorry. Had a lot of energy trying to slow down Manning, and did a good job with that. The offense fed off that. Florida ran the ball at will against Texas.
They did that for that freshman. He was unbelievable.
And to me, that was the most shocking. I didn't expect Manning to go out there and light it up in the swamp. I didn't. What I didn't expect also was Florida to run the ball as efficiently as they did against a really good Texas team, especially up front. They handled the line of scrimmage. If Florida is going to win this game on the road, they're going to have to run the ball and continue to play great defense. Texas A&M has not seen the likes of Florida on the defensive side yet. Those are grown men up front.
Well, they play Miami. That's the only one, yeah. The Florida lost to Miami, but other than that.
No. Texas A&M has not seen Florida, the likes of Florida.
Yeah, you're right.
So they're going to see what the big boys in the SEC look like over there when they're trying to chomp down and bite on the quarterback. And I think this is the upset of the week. I think Florida has found something in the running game. I think Napier has kept their ear. They fought their asses off at home against Texas, which they could have easily caved in and lost that game and been like, our record is what it is. We're not very good. Or they could continue. they found something last week, and I think it carries over to this week.
I agree with you. I think Texas A&M wins the game, but I think they haven't played a defense like this yet. Notre Dame's defense has not been what we thought it would be, and A&M beat them by a point on the last play of the game. I do think Florida found something. I think if Lagway can just not turn the ball over, this is going to be a game that comes down to the end. I think their defense is everything you just said. I think the freshman last week that came in was unbelievable, like a total game changer. It was his first game. So I'm with you. I think 7.5. I think maybe the hook comes into play here, but I'm with you on Florida.
You take Florida?
I'm taking Florida.
I'm taking Florida too.
Yeah, and I love Texas A&M.
I think Florida win outright.
Wow.
I'm taking them to win a game.
Wow. Well, we may have to put that in a parlay. That would play.
I'm going to take. I bet the money line if I do anything.
Yeah, that might be pretty good.
That's probably 3-1 right now.
Michigan going to Southern Cal.
This is an odd line.
Odd line. Southern Cal's favored by 2.5.
That's what I'm saying. That's an odd line.
I don't know what Southern Cal has done to impress anybody. Now, Michigan lost to Oklahoma at Oklahoma in their one big game. So neither team has really had a huge matchup that you would sit there and go, man, that's a huge win. But Michigan's been good, and they're going to run the ball. They have a great running back. They're going to run the ball, like you said earlier.
Yeah, the number one recruiting quarterback. I mean,
and he's getting confidence.
Athletic.
He's getting confidence every game. He's running the ball a little bit more with his feet. And
USC is not a place unless they are Lendell White and Reggie Bush and Matt Leinart good. That is going to, and Pete Carroll there with all the celebrities in there, that's going to be a hostile environment.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to have the band. But the Coliseum out there is not a place where
it's not a big home field advantage.
It's not going to be overwhelming.
Yeah.
Number one, Californians, they'd rather go surfing and do something else on us, especially if their team isn't very good.
Yeah.
Right. They're not going to come and support their football unless you're a diehard.
Yeah.
They do have some diehards. USC has great traditions, so I'm not trying to take away anything from them with that.
Yep.
But I just don't see, why, they're going out there and, they're favored over this team.
I'm with you. I'm taking Michigan. The line does scare me because to me it seems like a sucker bet when you're sitting there going, this just seems too easy. But I think at the end of the day, Michigan's defense is the best defense on the field. I think Michigan's going to be able to run the ball, control the clock, and I'm taking Michigan. And
I'm
sounds like you are too.
I'm taking Michigan as well.
I'm with you. South Carolina, LSU. South Carolina, up and down. LSU, up and down. LSU starts the season with a win at Clemson that doesn't look nearly as good now, and they had a tough time doing it. They did beat Florida at home by double digits, but a pick six in I think it was the fourth quarter by Lagway really kind of busted that game open. LSU's laying 9.5. South Carolina has a revenge on their mind in this game because if you remember last year, the game that really kept South Carolina out of the playoffs was when the referees made a horrible call versus South Carolina that gave on a touchdown return on defense. They gave LSU the win. 9.5 points is a lot of points, but it's at nighttime in LSU. South Carolina hasn't really shown me enough to make me really feel that they've got it. I love Sellers. I think he's a really good quarterback. They haven't had a running game. Defensively, they've been hot and cold because they've got studs all over the field, but some of the guys we've seen not play 100% of the time. They give it here, they give it there, and not there. I'm not sold on the LSU team. So to me, this is a tough game to predict. I do think that South Carolina and Beamer are going to come in there with revenge on their mind. I think we're going to see the best performance we've seen from them this year, and I just think 9.5 points are too much. I'm taking South Carolina.
That's a lot of points. I'm not going to say, but it's there for a reason. LSU is arguably, especially at night, and this is a 7:45 kickoff.
Yep.
One of the toughest places in America to play.
Yep.
Those Raging Cajuns are going to be on fire. They are having a team come in that is an opponent against them. That there was some bad blood last year with the way the game was played.
Yep.
All the smack talking that's going on. Lenore Sellers could be the difference maker. We have not seen him come out of his shell this year.
He hasn't had a great game yet.
He has not.
Yeah.
I think teams have played him differently this year than they did last year. Last year, he kind of just came on the scene and really came out of nowhere and built momentum. And teams, I don't think they were ready for his ability to run the football in the backfield and break tackles because they don't realize how big he is until you stand up next to the guy.
Yep.
He's 6'3", 240 pounds and runs very well and has some elusiveness, to him and wiggle, and he can also throw the ball. South Carolina's offense is not an efficient running offense. They are broken play, big play type of offense. Mm-hmm. And if Lenore Sellers can't keep the play alive, receivers aren't going to get open. They're not going to line you up and run slants and outs and a West Coast offense and pick you apart that way.
Yep.
They're going to have to run the football. They're going to have to let Lenore Sellers kind of spread you out and let him do his thing, very similar to what Johnny Manziel used to do. Run around, make a play. Russell Wilson, when he was with Seattle, run around, make a play. Throw the ball down the field. It's not an offense that's going to be sustainable. It's going to be an offense that you're going to have some big plays. You're going to have some not so big plays. They don't have a great running game. I think LSU overwhelms them. I do. I think that they tap them out, and I think this could be a blowout, honestly, at LSU, because I think this defense is not the South Carolina defense isn't what was advertised. I think they got kind of escaped last year a little bit because of how good Sellers was on offense. They weren't on the field very much, so it was kind of a Fugazi defense. They didn't have to defend a lot. They got up and they had rush. This is going to be a game where I think that LSU kind of puts their man card down and stamps it on the Gamecock's forehead.
I think the key to this game is since Brian Kelly's been at LSU, they haven't ran the football, and it's been a problem all year long. South Carolina has not been able to run the football. 9 yards rushing, if I'm not mistaken, against Missouri at Missouri. I think whichever team sticks with the run and runs the ball, and I am counting Sellers' feet on that because I agree with you. If he's running the ball, he's dangerous.
Teams have played him differently. They've started to do what they did with Vic and some of these other running quarterbacks. They started to spy him, and he's not open in the field where teams are going to play man-to-man and turn their backs and run, and he breaks that line of scrimmage and he can continue to run. They're going to play zone defense. They're going to keep everything in front.
They're not going to let him beat them.
And they're not going to let him beat you.
Yeah.
Right? They're going to force the other team to do that, and where he struggles is throwing the ball into windows consistently, running the offense, because I think they have some explosive players, but they're vertical guys, right, for play action, throw the ball deep. But they're not the type of offense. They're going to get in and out of breaks, throw to windows, and I just think it's a bad matchup for them. I really do. I think LSU, like I said, I think they end up winning 31-10 or something like that.
Wow. All right, let's fly into the NFL. We'll go quick through these, and then I'll make my 2 picks. You make your 2 picks. First game of the NFL, Cleveland going to Pittsburgh. Cleveland Browns, Gabriel, their rookie.
They looked good last week.
Looked good against Minnesota. Brian Flores, Minnesota's defensive coordinator, has a history of just wearing out rookie quarterbacks, and Gabriel held his own, 2 touchdown passes. Pittsburgh seems to have figured it out. They're getting healthier. Their defenses look like a Pittsburgh defense the last couple weeks. Aaron Rodgers still can put the ball in windows if he doesn't have to move 2 feet left or 2 feet right. Pittsburgh's laying 6.5. Cleveland has always played Pittsburgh tough there. I think you were even at a game maybe 2 years ago when Cleveland beat them. And Cleveland's defense is legit. Cleveland's coming off a loss, which we're probably going to say most weeks with them right now. But Cleveland at Pittsburgh minus 6.5. What you got?
I hate to say this because I think the Steelers are probably the epitome of consistency when it comes to regular season. Right? They have not missed a playoff game since Tomlin has been there. They have not missed the playoffs since he's been there. And I know they snuck in a couple years ago, backdoor in that San Diego game when, the debacle where, that whole thing went down and they ended up kicking the field goal to get there to tied. Steelers were out and both of those teams were in. But I am not sold on Tomlin, as a great decision maker in tight games. This is not. I think this is a game that they should win. I think they have better athletes. I think they have better defense. I think they have more explosive players on offense, and they have a quarterback. I feel like that's starting to, take control of this offense. Thankfully, because Tomlin is not that guy, and where they've struggled is with, I feel like creating offense and finding plays that are going to have their running game is going to be as good as anybody's in the league. I think they're good up front. I think I do like Cleveland's defense. Rookies, the reason why they're rookies and the reason why they're not starters all the time is because of the ebbs and flows. I think they're going to have a little bit more time to scout Gabriel. I think Gabriel has a bad game, and I think the Steelers win this game.
I think I'm with you. I think Pittsburgh covers the 6.5. I think that Judkins has been great running the ball for Cleveland, but I think that Gabriel, seeing this defense where they're playing J.J. Watt, I think that's going to be the difference, and I think Pittsburgh can pull out at least by a touchdown.
J.J. Watt's the most impactful when he's on the left side, which is Gabriel's blind side.
Yep.
So he is a good rusher off of that side in particular. That's his strong side. That could, create some turnovers. for Cleveland if Gabriel gets a little uncomfortable back there and starts throwing the ball up.
Yep. 49ers to Tampa Bay. This should be a great game. Tampa Bay wins every game in the last minute or two of the game. Baker Mayfield, right now in the NFL, is the most clutch guy we got. I mean, the dude has won, 4 games this year in the last drive, or at least one of the last 2 drives. 49ers, though, play really good defense. It sounds like Mac Jones is probably going to be the quarterback again this week, but he played great the 2 times he started. 49ers are getting 2.5 at Tampa Bay. What you got?
Matt Jones and Brock Purdy are the same quarterback, literally the same quarterback. They're, career backup guys that are system guys that just don't make mistakes. One played for Alabama, the other one played for a small school. But the reason why, the reason why Purdy is in the league right now is because he just didn't make the big mistakes. He doesn't have the best arm, but he's a good leader. He's going to put you in the right position. He's smart. All the things that you need for a system quarterback. Matt Jones is the same guy. Played with Alabama, understands what they say. He's not going to turn the ball. He may not be as elusive as what Purdy was, but when you have a guy like Christian McCaffrey, you throw very accurately to guys in space that are running on the move. That's the reason why their offense has been successful with Matt Jones, and they haven't missed a beat. It's going to come down to, what can they do to get pressure on Baker Mayfield? And I think the Niners have the more explosive team, with a guy like Christian McCaffrey. When he's healthy, he's the difference maker on the field. But you just can't count out Baker Mayfield and what he's doing this year. It feels like, he's got this team believing in him and that they're going to win regardless of what the score is. They're going to find a way to come back and be in the game. It's hard to bet against guys like that. This game is on the road in San Fran.
No, it's in Tampa.
Oh, it's in Tampa. That's an advantage. Teams coming from the west to the east have a tough time. I'm taking Tampa.
I am too. I think you got to ride Baker, and it's under a field goal, and they win by field goals. So, I'm taking Tampa Bay as well. We'll do our 2 picks in a second. Last game, we're going to pick Dallas at Carolina. Dallas laying 3 points. We broke that game down earlier in the show. We gave you all the stats. We gave you, what we thought would happen and what needed to happen. Dallas coming into Carolina, laying 3. What you got?
Bryce Young's record at home is now 8-11 or 8-12, something like that, if I'm not mistaken. That's the only place he wins. He's 1-15 on the road. The Dallas Cowboys have had our number over the last several years. They're going to have as many fans, if not more, than we do. I think you're going to see the obnoxious Cowboy fans take over Charlotte. And I think that there's a reason for that because Dak Prescott, I think, is playing really well this year.
He is.
I think they have a good running game. They lost Micah Parsons, but this offense really doesn't scare you, right? Dallas has played better offenses. I take Dallas in a close one. I think Bryce Young keeps the team in, comes down to a field goal. It's really a pick 'em game, but I'm going the Cowboys for the off chance that they could blow them out.
I'm taking Dallas as well, and I hope I'm wrong, and I hope I'm jinxing it and doing the reverse psychology. I just think, again, Dallas is going to score a lot of points. Unless our defense puts a full game together, unless our offense puts a full game together.
Hasn't happened yet.
It hasn't happened yet, and so I can't trust it. So I'm going Dallas as well. Now let's go do my 2 picks and your 2 picks. We'll start with me, and I'll do one, you do one.
Okay.
So my first pick that I'm taking, Seattle at Jacksonville. Jacksonville's laying 1.5. Seattle and Jacksonville both are off to great starts. Both head coaches I've been extremely impressed with. But I think Jacksonville is in a tough spot here with the crazy win over Kansas City on Monday Night Football, a short week. I know Seattle has to travel across country. I know Seattle's
going to be hot as balls.
It's going to be hot, and I know Seattle's had not the best history doing that, but I think this coach and this team are tough, and I think Sam Darnold is playing great. I think Seattle's going to come in. I think Jacksonville's going to have a little letdown, and I'm going to take the Seahawks getting 1.5. I think they win outright. And you don't pick this game.
I'm not picking it, but I would definitely take the other side of that for sure. I think Jacksonville and what Trevor Lawrence is doing right now. We saw it the other night. He just matched whatever it was that Patrick Mahomes did.
Yep.
Put himself in position at the end of the game to be in there to win the game. I know they had a 99-yard touchdown return for a touchdown, which was a big impact play in that game. Changed the entire momentum, kept them into the game where he was able to go out there and finally, win the game by scoring a touchdown. As Kansas City looked like they quit Chris Jones. I don't know what the hell.
I don't know what he was doing.
And I don't know if he thought the play was dead, if the quarterback was touched and it went down, but he quit on the play, and but Jacksonville didn't quit.
No, they didn't. I love their coach, man.
And they found a way to win. And I think they found something in Trevor Lawrence. He's playing. They were going to bench him last year, right? And there was a good reason for that because he wasn't playing very good. He's having a really good season this year. Jacksonville is a tough place to play. It's going to be hot. It's going to be humid. Seattle's not used to that. I expect Jacksonville to win that game.
Let's go to your first pick.
Yep.
You got Iowa State -3 at Colorado.
Colorado, I can't. I'm not sold on them. Iowa State, I believe, is undefeated.
No, they've lost. I think
4-1.
I think they've lost 1 or 2.
4-1 against a 2-3 team. Even though it's at Colorado and everybody in the stadium is going to be high as a kite. Dion's having some troubles health-wise. I'm not sure how much impact he's there. He has a good staff. He's brought guys like Marshall Faulk and other players. I want to root for him. I think he's a good coach. I love his message to players.
I agree.
I really do. I think he has a great message and he wants the best, for his team. But I just don't think that I don't think they have the talent, and especially up front. I'm taking Iowa State.
I would agree with you if I was picking that game. My last pick is Detroit at Kansas City. Kansas City on a short week coming off a hard loss against Jacksonville. I think Detroit, after the game one when they got whooped by Green Bay at Green Bay, has turned it on. They look like the Detroit that we've seen the last few years. I love everything about their coach.
Dan Campbell is He's a maniac. He's a maniac.
And I love him. And I think that Detroit is legit. I think Kansas City has their problems, and I think Detroit's going to go to Kansas City. They're getting 2.5, but I think they win outright.
I think Detroit has the best receiving core in the NFL.
It's great.
They have players everywhere.
And 2 great running backs.
And they have
and a great quarterback.
They have probably arguably the best offense in the NFL. They score, I think they're averaging 40 points a game. I mean, it's incredible what they're doing in this first quarter of the season.
Yeah.
I just don't think that Kansas City is going to be able to keep up with them, scoring the ball, especially after coming off of a short week.
Yep.
Detroit has circled this game. They want to make a mess. They want to send a message. Mahomes, it feels like there's just something off with that team. And I don't know if it's Worthy. When Worthy is on the field, they're a different team. The problem is keeping Worthy on the field. He seems like he's a little fragile, smaller guy, that is getting injured and could be injury prone. We don't know. But if he's on the field, it's a different game, different team. I just think that Detroit, outscores them. I think it's a close one. I think it's going to be a high scoring game. I'm taking the over, but I'm taking Detroit.
Your last pick, Georgia at Auburn.
Yeah, I mean, this is a 3-point game.
3-point.
Three-point
Georgia
game.
-3.
I think the Georgia Bulldogs are still one of the top 5 teams in the country.
I agree with you.
Regardless of where they're playing. There's maybe one team that matches up physically against them. That was Alabama. That was a man football. That's two grown teams.
Yep. Came down to the wire.
Button heads, and it came down to the wire. Kirby Smart's going to get Georgia right. They're going to be in the hunt at the end for the national championship again. And I think they roll Alabama. Auburn.
I would, if I was picking that, I'd agree with you. Everybody, have a great weekend. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for always watching. Spread the word.
Yes, I pee in pools.
And yes, Frank pees in pools. And we'll be back with you Monday to talk about how the Panthers did the rest of the NFL and this great college card we got this weekend.